Credit cards can be one of the most powerful weapons in your arsenal, but because of that, they can also be the deadliest. The credit card has grown to be one of the most popular types of debt out there, and that's for a good reason. They are accessible to almost everyone, and most people can be awarded with quick access to lots of credit at almost any credit score. Even if you have a low limit, there's very little stopping you from getting another credit card with another company and increasing your combined credit. The options are endless. The increased competition means that the credit card companies are now offering more benefits than they ever have in order to win your business. Free flights, vacations, and cash back are some of the many perks that credit card holders enjoy. With a simple check of your score, you could be approved within minutes and have a new shiny credit card shipped directly to your door within days. Heck, if you have Apple Pay and Google Wallet, then you can begin using your credit card immediately with a tap of your phone. We all know that credit cards have hurt the pocketbooks of many Americans. They've become so damaging that many financial pundits recommend you avoid them entirely. On today's episode, we want to explore this idea. Should you have a credit card? Are you a credit card person, or are you better off just avoiding them in general? We'll go over the benefits and issues around these plastic rectangles and use that to set clear guidelines for those looking to use credit. Before we get into it, let's look back. How did credit cards get here? When were they created, and what did that journey look like? Well, just like most of the financial tools that we use today, credit cards as we know them are relatively new. The journey started in 1949 with the Diners Club card. While not entirely a credit card, it allowed you to make purchases at select restaurants around New York City and pay them back later. Initially, this was an exclusive club, but it slowly evolved to include thousands of people in restaurants around the globe. As far as the little plastic cards that we love today, American Express was one of the first companies to release one in 1958. Even prior to the official release, the card was incredibly popular with over 250,000 cards issued. Unfortunately, it did come with a $6 fee, which seemed very high at the time, but it doesn't hold a candle to the fees that we see today. But the success of cards like the American Express card encouraged the entrance of other players into the credit card industry. In 1966, Bank of America released the first bank credit card, famously called the Bank AmeriCard. This was the first credit card to allow revolving debt, but this credit card was far from a total success. Even though it had plenty of promise, the card was plagued with high fraud and delinquency rates. From there, credit cards would spend the next few decades evolving and changing, battling legal issues and discrimination on top of the fraud and delinquency issues. It wasn't until 1989 that the FICO score was created, setting up the standardization of credit scores and the first set of universal rules around who should be bestowed these special pieces of plastic. The credit card fight is similar to the ones waged by many of the new financial products we know and love. Each revolutionary invention comes with massive benefits, but its own set of growing pains. We've already talked about America's slow adoption of the 401k, but the 2008 sub-mortgage crisis showed an inability to properly use our debt tools on an institutional level. Even the big banks, in conjunction with the government, needed to learn how to use debt without lending themselves into financial ruin. With credit cards, the rule definitely applies and extends to the consumer as well as the corporation. Americans are getting worse and worse with their credit cards. And if history repeats itself, we know that it'll usually take a financial crisis before a change is made. We here at Money Makes Sense don't want this to be you. We want to go over the pros and cons surrounding credit cards. That way you know if you should have them as well as how to properly handle them. If you learned one thing about debt from this channel, know that you can't trust conventional knowledge. Whether it's student loans, mortgages, or credit cards, you need to do the work and find out if it's right for you so that you aren't punished by the inevitable rude awakening. Whether you have villainized or praised the power of the credit card, we can all agree that they do have their merits. The primary benefit of using a credit card remains the vast reward programs that they offer. Well, many would argue that it's the convenience and the safety net it provides when you don't have enough cash, but we'll teach you to never use credit cards if you don't have enough money in your bank account to cover the purchase. Instead, save up an emergency fund, people. Since the Discover card was launched by Sears in 1982, the cashback bonus has been an integral part of the credit card offering. Generally, most credit cards give you at least 1% cash back for the money you spend. So if you spend $100, that means that you'll get $1 back from the credit card company. With recent levels of competition though, there are many credit cards that will give you 2% cash back on everything. Some of these cards will even offer you cash back as high as 5 to 6% on certain categories such as groceries, entertainment, or gas. Over the course of a year or a few years of spending, this can really add up if used wisely. Credit cards are generally most people's first introduction to credit. The barrier to entry is low, and there are many options out there for those who don't have any credit at all. Putting a few payments on a card and paying it off on time can significantly raise your credit score and open you up to favorable car and mortgage loans in the future. For many people, this can be an important first step to your financial health. And some credit cards even offer sign-up bonuses that can be worth hundreds of dollars and sometimes thousands of dollars when used for travel. Travel credit cards will even include travel credits and airport lounge access. Most cards have their own lounges as well that you can take advantage of as a card holder. Booking your travel within the credit card's travel portal can lead to more benefits as well. Credit cards can also help protect your money. One way is by allowing you to dispute the charges that were made with them. Were you fraudulently charged or simply didn't get the product or service you were promised? No worries. Simply report the faulty charge to your credit card company and they'll work with you to reverse it. For most charges, this is a painless and easy process that takes minutes to complete. Other examples of consumer protections are extended warranties, rental car insurance, travel insurance, and much more. This could save you if your travel plans get altered or your rental car gets dinged. Some credit cards will even come with a 0% interest rate on the front end. Taking advantage of this isn't an excuse to rack up debt, but may allow you to pay off higher interest rate debt quicker. And for the more savvy investors, grow your money while you pay off the credit card. Now, these benefits aren't just there as a thank you, but they are there to keep your business. And if you're not aware, your patronage often comes with a hefty price. You need to watch out for the following before putting debt on any credit card. The number one thing to look out for is your interest rate. It's no secret that credit cards have high interest rates, and if you've been watching this channel, you should know that they generally fall between 20 and 30%, with the average rate currently falling at 24.25%. For context, the average undergraduate student loan interest rate is about 5.5%, and the average car loan interest rate is about 7% for a new car. So a credit card will charge you 4 to 5 times the interest rate as some of your other debt. Credit cards can also encourage overspending. The fact of the matter is that the average American is carrying thousands of dollars in credit card debt. This suggests that they are spending much more money than they're bringing in. It's far too easy nowadays to autofill your information and click buy. With the increasing popularity of both Google Pay and Apple Pay, you can now make purchases with your phone and smartwatches without the need for your card. The less friction between you and an action, the easier it is to do so. If you are dieting and want ice cream, but there is no ice cream in the house, then you're less likely to eat ice cream. You can simply reduce your temptation by leaving it out of the house. In the past, we could do something similar with our credit cards, either by hiding them or cutting them up so that we can't use them. Some people would even freeze their credit cards in ice blocks. But with the accessibility we have nowadays via our phones and other devices, there's not much we can do to stop the train outside of closing our credit cards altogether. There's also a distance that credit cards have from our real money. When we spend on our credit card, our bank account balance doesn't go down the next day. It only does when we choose to make a payment. This can give you a false sense of security and lead to a debt spiral. You continue spending on the card, racking up interest and only paying the minimums when the credit card company comes knocking. If you never get ahead and pay above the minimums, you rack up more debt and more interest until this snowballs into a level of debt that seems insurmountable. But that's not all. Not only is this a pain on your wallet, but to your credit score as well. Being late on your payment can take your score down by up to 200 points at times if you're late 30 days or more. This one mistake can put you behind years in your financial journey. Another bad thing that can happen is, for example, if you're a travel guy and have accumulated some of the more popular rewards cards, then you're likely paying an annual fee of $95 to nearly $800 in many cases, with the most exclusive of cards costing well into the thousands. These annual fees can generally be canceled out by the perks they provide, such as travel vouchers and discounts on food and dining. But if you don't use your benefits, you could be giving away money to the credit card companies on an annual basis. A good credit card holder should make sure they're recouping their fees from all of their cards through the benefits they receive. The average American has 3 credit cards, meaning that a lot of you probably have a couple more than this. Managing payments to multiple credit cards can be a lot to manage and stressful, especially if you have a tendency to miss payments or have more than just a couple cards. Now that we know what's good and bad about credit cards, the question still remains, should you have one? The answer simply lies in your ability to take advantage of the benefits and avoid the negatives. First of all, credit cards are only right for those who don't hold a balance. If you've paid interest on a credit card, then you should not have them. Interest rate payments of 20 to 30% completely negate the 1 to 2% cashback or sign-up bonuses that you get from most credit cards. It's not worth it. A Bankrate survey in November 2023 showed that 49% of cardholders were carrying card balances from month to month. As a result, this is generally where most Americans lose when it comes to their cards, and it's likely your biggest struggle. If you're carrying a balance, think critically about whether or not you can correct this behavior. If not, cut up the credit card, pay off your debt, and stick to cash. And do not put yourself in a position where you need to use credit cards to survive. Always have an emergency fund in place that you can pull from in case of an emergency without going into debt. Step 2 is to never miss a payment. Missed payments are double trouble. They lead to both late fees and a significant reduction in your credit score. Set up autopay on all your cards so that you can avoid the risk of missing a payment altogether. Before getting that next credit card, ask yourself, am I really going to use all of the benefits provided? Only have and use credit cards that have benefits that you can take advantage of. A lot of reward cards come with fees, and you should manage these costs like any subscription. If a card is offering a travel credit, for example, and you stay at home most of the year, then you likely shouldn't be getting the card. If the card offers a dining benefit and you never eat out, then you should not be getting that card. Cards will often have overlapping benefits as well. If you're getting the same benefit from another card, then resist opening a new one. Even if there's great sign-up bonuses, you'll still lose on the back end after paying all of those fees. If the bonuses are too good to refuse, then you can always downgrade your cards to the free version later. Just don't forget to do this when the time comes. Cards are all made differently and cater towards different people. Know which one you're looking for and take advantage of those. So the overall strategy for handling credit cards is pretty easy. You should be spending less than you make. Seems obvious, but this is a fundamental issue when it comes to credit cards. Us as Americans seemingly have a hard time handling this. As a responsible credit card owner, you should understand that this could be an issue, and you should always be protecting yourself against it. If you aren't at the point where you fit the bill for a credit card person, then no problem. There are still many ways for you to build your credit without risking your financial future. The best thing to do is get a cash secured credit card. Cash secured credit cards are great because they require you to make a cash deposit in the account. Your credit is then equal to the amount of cash that you have in the account, stopping you from spending more than you make. You can build your credit and simultaneously begin working on your ability to hold a credit card responsibly. Check out all the resources linked in the description below, as they are what I use or would use in specific situations, including the best budgeting program in the history of the internet.